Back with more Ron Cook and Joe Starkey. The Cook and Joe Show on Sports Radio 93.7 The Fan.
Chris Hoke, Super Bowl champion, brought to you by Greater Pittsburgh Plumbing. Good morning, Dr. Hokenstein. How are you?
Good morning. How we doing, brother?
I'm doing great. Ron seems to be doing well.
Yeah, he's in a good mood today. Well, he's always in a good mood.
When you walk in, you bring the energy level up, Hoke.
He greets me at the door there, right? Because there's nobody at the front door. It's like the rest of the country.
He does. He
no
runs,
manpower in the
right?
country.
He runs out and
Cookie
greets
comes
you.
out, and more you can do mentality, right? He's like a Pittsburgh Steeler.
This is Carlton, your doorman, right?
That's right.
We're old enough to remember that. So, Hokie, I hate to start with sort of a depressing topic today after everyone's so happy, but my first question to you is this, because it's the predominant topic all week. It's a national topic. I saw Damian Woody, the latest of dozens of people who played the game just like you, who have coached the game, who are coming out saying when they watch Ben Roethlisberger, they see a shot quarterback. Do you?
A shot quarterback? Listen, there are times to me when I see him make great throws, when you see him create some magic like he used to, but you're seeing it few and far between. You're not seeing it as often as you did in his younger years. And is he older? There's no question about it. He's 39 years old. And so when I was 39, I'm 45, I was slower than I was when I was 29, 30. There's no question about it. And listen, you're going to see the things, and people are going to take when he falls down, or people are going to take bad throws or bad moments, and they're going to magnify him and talk about him. But yeah, I mean, he's not the same quarterback he was 5 years ago.
That's nature, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Father Time never loses.
Yeah.
How does he overcome his shortcomings here? He can't move like he used to, obviously.
Yeah, you know what? He's just got to continue to work and grind, and hopefully that he can get into a rhythm. And that's what it is. They're not in sync right now offensively. They're out of rhythm at the quarterback position, offensive line position, the receivers. The only one that seems like he's on top of his game is Najee Harris. Everybody else seems like they're just – I keep hearing this word, execute. We just got to execute. And that kind of drives me crazy.
Why?
Well, execute to me just means do your job. Do your job. Go out there and do your job. You practice all week. You learn the game plan. You're professionals. So, you should know your game plan because you take pride in what you do as a professional. You're a starter, or you're a player on that team that gets playing time, and so you need to go out there and execute. And everybody's going to make a mistake on a play here, or play there. But if 50% of the time you're getting beat, or you're blocking the wrong, I see guys out there blocking the wrong guy. There was a quick pass play out to Chase Claypool on one play, and James Washington was supposed to block the wide guy, the wide corner, and Freiermuth was supposed to block the second guy inside. Washington blocks the second guy. Freiermuth goes to block him. Nobody blocks the first corner that's to the sideline. He comes and makes the play. The guys just aren't executing. They're not doing their jobs, and that's consistent throughout the offense.
You think the line isn't as terrible as people think, as much as it's inconsistent?
It's inconsistent.
Do you see good things out of everybody?
At times. I don't think they're terrible. And I would never tell a player. I have a hard time saying a player sucks. A player's terrible. These guys are the best in the world, right? They might not be playing well, and some of them are better than others.
But it's all relative, right? Are they the worst offensive line in the league?
I haven't seen other offensive lines. I'll tell you this. They're not terrible. I don't believe they're the worst. I think they're very inconsistent. You will see. Everybody's talking about, everybody's focused at the center of that offensive line. And they're so used to having, since I've been here, great centers. Jeff Harding's when I came. We came in the same year, I believe, and he was an all-pro player. And Jeff Harding's was tough. And then you got Pouncey. Pouncey comes in, and Pouncey was just a phenomenal athlete. I wouldn't say he was a mauler, but the guy was just a football player. And he played that position. And he was very, very smart. And then you have Kendrick Green, and we're used to that position being solidified. And think about what's going through his mind right now. He's got to line up at the golden line of scrimmage. He's got to get the ball. He's got to see the defense. He's got to make the call, right? Protection call. Then he's got to find, now he's got to block this guy. And there's so many things going through his mind. He's a rookie. The game isn't slowing down from yet. And going from Illinois to the NFL, it's like driving a golf cart and then going out in a Ferrari. I mean, that's how it is, right? And so he's lined up and he's trying to block his guy, and he does well at times. He's strong and he's physical and he's stout. And the other times that he gets beat. You get guys that put moves on him in the pass rush, and they get on his edge and they knock him back into Ben. And in the run game, you'll see him have a good block, and then he'll be too over aggressive and he'll overshoot. And these veteran defensive linemen are just gonna swat him and get by and make plays. So he's got to be under control. And I think that's going to come as time goes on, because I feel like you're seeing those bad moments fewer and farther between, but they're still there more often than you want them.
How about going from Alabama to the NFL? What have you seen from Najee? The numbers are just horrible. Yeah. Running the ball, is there anything there? Is he missing holes at all?
Well, you see it.
I mean, I love his toughness. I mean, he's fighting for every inch he gets.
He probably misses a hole there, here or there. Nothing that stands out to me, but we don't know all the plays. We don't know where the hole is exactly supposed to hit. And so you're hearing that he has missed a hole or two, sure. And it's going to happen. Even the great running backs miss a play. I mean, when you run the ball and you touch the ball like he did, I think he only had 14 carries. But he touched it 28 times. When you touch it that many times, you're going to make a mistake. You're going to have a play you wish you wanted.
What do you think of what he's done so far?
I think he's doing a great job. I believe that interception that Ben threw, the first one in the game, I think it was in the second quarter, that was his fault. Hubbard came in, slid down the line, found the opening, came running right at Ben, and Najee just put his head down and whiffed on the block. Closed his eyes, bent down, was trying to deliver a blow, and Hubbard just kind of swam inside of him and hit Ben, and I believe that caused the interception. So that's kind of on him. But other than that, the guy's been phenomenal in my opinion.
Chris Hoke joining us here on Cook and Joe for the whole hour. He's in studio. So, Hokie, I would wager to say that you have a more favorable opinion of Mason Rudolph than most. I would ask you.
Okay.
Would you have replaced Ben with Mason after that second pick or at any point the other day?
Yeah.
And would he be your starter right now?
That's a hard one. That's a hard one for me to say, Joe, because it's tough to sit down a Hall of Famer and you still feel like that Ben can bring that magic at any time and that you're never out of the game when you have Ben Roethlisberger. And so to me, that's a tough call. You're asking someone to sit down a guy who you feel that can at any time turn the game around. You feel he's shown little moments. Here's what I think that Mason would help this offense is defenses don't fear Ben scrambling at all. Ben is not going to run the ball. I think he had one run last week where I think it looked kind of like it was a broken play, or maybe nobody was open and Ben faked the throw. And but he faked the throw. Rushes. He got an undisciplined defender to get up off his feet rather than run through the quarterback. And that was only one. But they don't fear Ben's scrambling ability, right? And so when they talk about this picket fence, they could drop guys deep because it's okay. We're gonna give you the dump. We're gonna give you the underneath junk. And we're gonna break on the ball and tackle the catch. Well, I'd rather give you 4 or 5 yards than potentially get beat deep by a Chase Claypool and give you the big ball, give you the deep ball. Because we know that if we rush 4 guys, which primarily that's all that they did on Sunday. The Bengals ran 4 guys. But primarily they rushed 4 guys because there was no threat of Ben running the ball and getting out of there.
So I got to ask you again, just flat out, would you go to Rudolph here?
I wouldn't right now, but I think if things don't get better over the next few weeks, you seriously have to entertain it.
What do you think it would? We've had this debate all week. What would it take Tomlin to bench Ben? Would he have? Would it always be couched? Well, Ben's beat up. We just got to give him a little time to heal, or does he come out and say, "Hey, it was time to make a change based on production"? I don't know that he's going to do that.
I think if they lose these next 3 games, or if the offense sputters like it is right now,
then they go into the bye week.
Yeah, but anyway, I just don't. I have a hard time believing that he'll do it. And I'm not saying that Ben – I want to be very clear. I'm not saying that Ben needs to be seated right now. I think it's early, and Ben's traditionally a slow starter in games and in the season. And so I think that they're hoping that Ben can turn this thing around. But it's not just him. He's a factor. The offensive line, I think there's receivers that are dropping the ball. They're not getting separation at times. And I don't think the offensive play calls are helping them. When your way of getting the ball down the field is just a go route. I mean, people know that. There's no really creativity in my mind. I'm a defensive player, so let's be honest. That's what I see. Is just go routes rather than anything creative to get guys separation down the field.
I mean, I think of your defense. You guys would have been salivating at the idea of going against a 39-year-old quarterback who can't move and won't push the ball down the field in an offense that's not creative.
Sure.
I would think any defense right now is doing that. How does it change? This looks like I can't believe what I'm watching, that it's all sideways, backwards passes. You said it. The only thing they get downfield is a go route. It looks like a very simplistic offense to defend.
Yeah, as much as it looked last year. And the frustrating thing is you have a good play, and it gets called back for penalties. So they look undisciplined. 10 penalties in this game. So even in that first drive, Najee has he has a 14-yard run, 10-yard run, and it was called back for holding. A couple times in the game they were positive, plays that 10+ yards that got called back for penalties. Just seemed like they were a little undisciplined, and to me, it's not because they're bad players, and not because they're not being coached. I think it's because guys are trying too hard right now to do something. And they're not just they're kind of out of themselves a little bit, and their feet are moving faster than their minds, their minds are moving faster than their feet, and these mistakes are being made, and these penalties are being called, and they've just got to settle down. And I think you'll see them getting better week in and week out, because I believe in watching the film that the offensive line, as bad as they looked, they are making improvements each week.
All right, let's get to the famous 4th and 10 play, the little swing pass. What did you make of that? Whose fault is it? Now I see, and we're going to.
Tell me whose fault. I mean, there's only one guy. I mean, whose fault is it?
Is it the quarterback or is it the guy that called the play?
I think it was a read. I think it was a read.
What was he reading? He threw it to the 17-yard line.
I misread.
Right.
I see. That's right. We're gonna hopefully hear from Canada. He said something about we had guys in the end zone. It was just a bad play. And Ben said afterwards I should have thrown it in the end zone. But he made it sound like it was a called play.
There were guys in the end. There was no time for anybody to even get open. It was a snap throw. Right? Did I watch that wrong?
No. As soon as he took the snap, he threw it.
Snap throw. And there were guys up in the line of scrimmage. We called that when I played for the Steelers sugar. And the linebackers were sugaring, faking the blitz, and
I got another word for it the way it turned out, other than sugar. But go ahead. It sounds the same.
What I'm describing is the fake blitz, right?
Yeah.
You're faking a blitz, so you're faking from one side and you're coming from the other. And I think that Ben thought it was a blitz, and to get it out quick, I don't think it was this white picket fence that they're talking about or whatever. They did play that at times because they weren't going to give anything deep or even intermediate throws. But in that one, I did believe it was just a misread defense, and didn't even give guys to get open. But you have Chase Claypool and you have Freiermuth. You have tall guys. I think in that situation, you've got to trap it up to those guys.
You might get an interference call, right?
Yeah, but we depend on that too much, though, Cookie. We depend on too much lobbing the ball up, hoping they call PI on Chase.
A lot of things come to mind here. There isn't a play for 4th and 10 from the 11. I don't think. Could anybody draw up a reasonable play other than throwing it up to one of your big guys?
Yeah, or some kind of pick route, hoping you get something, right? A rub route. It's something. I don't know. Again, you're talking to a guy who just you shouldn't even be in that situation.
Okay, so if they did blitz, Najee caught the ball at the 17-yard line.
Mm-hmm. Have you seen him make a touchdown on a play like that in the last few games? 100%. What happened last week when he caught the ball and he made a guy miss a
25-yard catch?
Yeah, he can do it. He's shown it. He did it last week. He did it the week before. And so if it's a blitz, now you got Najee one-on-one with a linebacker. I'd take that. I'd take that every day. And he's got a chance to get in the end zone because he's proven.
But from that, it's a much shorter space, first of all, than the one he scored last week. So guys have way more ground to cover. I guess I'm just thinking, tell me if I'm wrong here, that even if I'm blatantly fooled by the pass itself, at least 4 or 5 guys would have had plenty of time to recover and try to make a play.
I don't know. You hit him
that short
you
space?
hit him in stride. Listen, the reality is I always hate it when it's 4th and 8 or get back 3rd and 8 and you throw it short of the chains. I always feel like you got to throw it beyond the chains. You got to take what the defense gives you, and sometimes you have a design play to help you to free the guy on.
This was short of the line of scrimmage by 6 yards.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying, though. But he's proven he can do that. He's shown that he can get that yardage after catching the ball, especially if they did blitz. You asked me if they blitzed. Now you got guys on the other side of the line of scrimmage. You got Najee going forward, even though he was still taking ground. Going, advancing, he catches that ball in stride. Now you're thinking, okay, he's got one-on-one with the backer. I'm going to take that every time because it's either that or Ben just lobs it up and just throws it because he's got 2 guys in his face because they're bringing more hats, it looked like, then the Steelers had to block.
He's got to throw it into the end zone.
I agree. But I'm trying to help you
I know,
see
no,
the
I
picture.
do.
I'm trying to help you see the picture. But in that situation, you've got to go. But with what he saw pre-snap and what he thought was coming, that was the throw he made. And you're asking me, well, I don't think it's a horrible throw if they would have blitzed, because Najee's shown that he can move the chains and get positive yardage, chunk yardage, in those situations.
Ron, you buying it all?
It's not ideal.
I just think Tomlin's explanation was a bad day. I mean, that play was called after a timeout too. Yeah. It's not like they just sent something in.
And his other explanation was we ran out of plays.
We ran out of bullets. What's up with that?
I don't know. I think listen,
trying
he's
to get his quarterback off the
He's
hook,
frustrating everybody else. I mean, you watched the press conference on Tuesday. The guy they're frustrated. The Steelers are not used to being 1-2 after 3 weeks. They were 3-0 last year. Steelers are used to winning, and they're used to playing good football. And he's got a lot of his studs sitting on the sideline watching the game. Mm-hmm. He's PO'd. He's not happy about where he's at, and so of course he's going to be short with his comments. He's going to say things that that he just has to say them just to answer the question. The reality is nobody on the south side of Pittsburgh is happy where they're at right now.
They can't be. Mm-mm. But you know what? I won't be surprised if they go into Green Bay and play a good game this week if the defense is healthy.
Yeah.
If Watt plays,
we'll get to that. Listen. This is just me. T.J. Watt plays in that game healthy. Steelers win the game.
This last one.
Right.
You said that about both games, then. You said that about
he's
the
He's
Raiders.
a game changer.
The Raiders and the Bengals.
There's no question. I mean, they got one pressure on Joe Burrow. Listen, guys. 2 weeks ago, the Bengals. Joe Burrow was annihilated. He got destroyed. And then he comes into this game and no sacks, first time in 75 games for the Steelers, no QB hits, and one pressure in the game. And he was being hit like nobody's business up until this game. They were just TJ Watt they're paying him all that money for one reason. There's only maybe one guy or two guys in the NFL that are comparable to T.J. Watt, Myles Garrett, and maybe a couple other guys. I mean, the guy is a one-man wrecking crew, and without him, it's a completely different ballgame. And then you don't have Alex Highsmith, and you got some Tuska guy. I don't even know who the guy was. I'm going through my list, going, who's Tuska?
Neither did I.
No,
when I saw
this guy
on the field, I was like, wait a second.
Welcome
is
to
Cassius
our
Marsh
world.
back?
I mean, and I'm sure the guy is a good football player, I'm sure, because he wouldn't be there unless he was a good football player. But he puts zero pressure on the quarterback. He just came off the roster. You got Cam Hayward getting hit by every which direction. You got a rookie Loudermilk out there on the first third down of the game, right? Rushing. He's still learning the defense.
Tank Mondo was out there?
Mondo was out there. I didn't know how he played because it's hard when I do the postgame show after the games because I like to go back and watch the film and really break it down. Melvin Ingram played a heck of a game. The thing is,
except on
for the one tackle.
You know what? But we could talk. There's a lot to talk about here. A lot to undress here.
See, I didn't notice
Devin Bush. Where did Devin Bush go on? Did you watch on that play?
We can agree with that.
Where did Devin Bush go on that play? It was like he was running a 100-yard dash and was just jog coasting to the finish line.
Even Butler said today he knows he has to.
He's got to finish. He didn't even finish that play.
I didn't notice Ingram at all, though.
And that's what you're seeing in the NFL right now with Ingram on that touchdown catch by Tyler Boyd. These guys think that you can just tackle a guy by giving him a shoulder and I'm bigger than you. I'm going to knock you down. You got to wrap these suckers. I think of Coach Cowher. Wrap them up. Wrap them up. Right? You got to bring your arms, man.
Let's talk about that.
Okay.
Let's talk about that
right.
And the challenge at hand because only one person in this studio has faced Aaron Rodgers on a football field, and it ain't Horse, much as you might have believed that.
It ain't me.
Is it you, Starkey? Is that you?
No. I want to ask you about that, about
great.
Facing the Beast.
Super Bowl?
Yep.
After the 2010 year.
I still can't believe it.
You played in that game, didn't you?
100%. I still can't believe we lost that game.
We'll talk about it
All
coming
right.
up. We'll talk about facing Aaron Rodgers, talk about what has transpired with the Steelers in the 10-plus years since, and also speaking of Tyler Boyd, a pretty serious accusation by him against, in the end, he was very specific. He didn't say the names out loud, but by the scenario that he painted, he accused Najee Harris and Chase Claypool of quitting at the end of that game. I want to ask Chris Hoke about that